The memories of their past lives were acquired by some selected students in the new generation. They were educated and trained in a school called Akane Private Academy to become saviors. The saviors were the ones who fought against the monsters called metaphysicals. And one of the academy's new students was Moroha Hydra. One day while he was at the entrance ceremony, he felt heavy-eyed, causing him to fall asleep. He dreamed of his past life where he was a crown prince named Flag, and he had a younger sister named Sarasha. When he woke up, another student was already in front of him. Her name was Satsuki, and she suddenly gave him a headbutt because he fell asleep during the entrance ceremony. When he saw her face, he remembered Sarasha, and she also remembered him as Flaga because it turned out that she similarly had Sarasha's memory. She was very happy that they met again even though they had new personalities. A few moments later, they noticed a woman named Shizuno who fell not far from them. When they approached her, she called Moroha by the name Shu Sora. Then she suddenly kissed Moroha, so Satsuki immediately pulled him away from Shizuno. Shizuno reasoned that she was still sleepy, and mistaken Moroha as someone she knew. When Moroha talked to her, Satsuki got even more annoyed, causing her to run away from them. When the class started, they found out that the three of them were in the same class. After they introduced each other to their classmates, they all got dressed because they were going to the Colosseum. When they arrived, their teacher explained to them the two types of saviors. First was the Shirogane who used light skills, and the other was the dark mage who used dark arts. The first thing that the teacher taught them was the plana, and it was said to be the source of light skills. They tried to do it, and while most struggled, Satsuki was able to do it easily. Since Moroha had not yet been able to remember his past life, he also found it difficult to get his plana out. Suddenly, one of their classmates, named Gin, said that what they were studying was useless. Satsuki got annoyed at what he said, so she confronted him. The two of them argued until Gin got pissed, so he also used his plana. Then he suggested to their teacher that he and Satsuki should fight in a duel because they could already use their plana. Satsuki accepted the challenge, so their teacher agreed to it. Using their plana, they were able to turn their dog tag into weapons that they used in their past lives. Because of Gin's experience in battles, he just played with Satsuki until he made her drop her weapon. When she was about to pick it up, that was when Gin attacked her, causing her uniform to be torn. Moroha immediately approached to cover her, but she was too embarrassed, so she ran out of the Colosseum. After their class, Moroha took her to a cafe and tried to cheer her up. At that moment, Satsuki talked about her life, and the reason why she did not have many friends. However, she was still not sad because she had a memory of Sarasha, and she always dreamed of Flaga. Until she found out about the saviors, that she was not the only one with a past life memory. Because of this, she thought that one day, she could be with her brother again. Shizuno suddenly came to join their conversation. She pissed Satsuki off while Moroha was feeling embarrassed with what the two girls were doing to him. Satsuki lost again, but Moroha thanked Shizuno because Satsuki became lively once again. In the afternoon, Moroha challenged Gin to a duel, and if he won, he wanted Gen to apologize to Satsuki. He only used an ordinary sword because he had never used a plana, but for this reason, Gin was just beating him. Moroha still insisted on fighting until Satsuki came there. To give him courage, she shouted that he was the guardian of the holy sword and the strongest knight. After hearing this, he remembered his other memory as Flaga. Something awakened in him that he could already use a plana, and this made him brought out his Sarataiga. Just in time, the principal named Mari also came, and they saw how Moroha defeated Gin. Moroha could not believe what he had done, while Mari immediately realized that he was an ancient dragon. He was brought to the clinic, and he was cured using the power of Maya, who was the principal's sister. Since Satsuki did not agree with Maya's way to cure him, they were forced to tie her up. The principal took this opportunity to explain to Moroha his situation. She said that he had not just one but two past lives. The principal thought of this because the last attack he used on Gin was a step 3 dark art. The next morning, Shizuno and Moroha were called by the captain of the strikers, named Jean. The strikers were members of a group of students that recruited saviors with rank C or higher. They found out that Jean and their classmate Gin were brothers. Since he and Shizuno were in rank C, Jean invited them to join and be the members of the strikers as well. After explaining to them the role of the strikers, Moroha immediately asked how much he would get from it. When he found out the amount, he immediately agreed to Jin's offer. Because of this, Shizuno also agreed. Suddenly Satsuki, who had been listening to them for a while, immediately came out to approach them. She also wanted to be a member of the strikers, but Jin would not let her. After their class, Moroha and Shizuno were introduced to the other members of the strikers unit. They were told that they should train every day to make themselves even stronger. Moroha learned from Shizuno that the current generation of strikers was the so-called golden generation. This was because they had defeated more metaphysicals compared to others in the Japan branch. On the day of their break, Satsuki invited Shizuno to go shopping. She wanted to buy Moroha a gift to congratulate him as a new member of the strikers. She also admitted that she invited Shizuno because she wanted to share the cost of the item. It turned out that she did not have enough money. Fortunately, Shizuno agreed and they started searching for the item. After several hours of searching, they decided to have a snack in the square. But after Satsuki got what she bought, a metaphysical suddenly appeared to them. She was so scared that she could hardly move. But she did not want to be called weak, especially to Moroha's opinion, so she fought her fear. He told Shizuno to evacuate the people while she was fighting the metaphysical. Her attack did not work on the creature. Luckily, Shizuno came back immediately to help her. They worked together to fight it, but they did not expect that it was a Hydra-headed one. When one of the heads attacked Satsuki, Shizuno quickly pushed her away, causing her to be hurt. The strikers were not able to respond immediately after they found out what kind of metaphysical was with Satsuki and Shizuno. Jin knew that the strikers could no longer handle such a strong metaphysical. But Moroha disagreed with Jin's decision, and he went out alone to help his friends. Satsuki was about to be eaten by the metaphysical. Fortunately, Moroha came there right away. He fought the metaphysical alone until Shizuno woke up. She was confident that Moroha would not be defeated because he had another power. After hearing this, Moroha remembered his other past life. He immediately used the Step 5 dark art called Black Gehenna. Because it was so strong, he defeated the metaphysical with just one attack. So when others arrived at the area, the principal became even more convinced on her suspicion of Moroha. Because of Satsuki's bravery, Jin offered her to be a member of the strikers, and she was very happy about it. Moroha asked Shizuno what was their relationship was in the past life, but Shizuno did not answer him. Shizuno was summoned by her older brother, named Tadanori, who was also the chairman of Akane Academy. He also found out that Moroha was an ancient dragon, and he was glad that Shizuno was with him to defeat the metaphysical. A few hours later, they hung out at a cafe to talk about why their principal said that the three of them were the ones who defeated the metaphysical. For Satsuki and Shizuno, it should only be Moroha to be recognized as the one who beat the creature. Shizuno even believed that only the 6 heads were capable of defeating it. Then they noticed the foreigner who came in and spoke pure English, so the waitress had a hard time understanding him. Because of this, Satsuki approached to help the waitress, but the guy suddenly spoke in Japanese. Then he ordered a drink that was not on the cafe's menu. Because of Satsuki's annoyance, she asked the staff to prepare the ingredients, and she made what the foreigner wanted to order. But when the foreigner tried it, he did not like its taste. At that moment, the foreigner spoke to Moroha, which surprised him. The foreigner disappeared from his sight, and time seemed to stop. But when he felt the foreigner, he immediately thought that it might be because of its very fast movement that made time seem to stop. Even though Moroha knew that this man was going to punch him, he still did not avoid it. The guy thought that Moroha did not notice his actions, so he decided to leave. Based on the technique he used, Shizuno immediately knew that he was one of the 6 heads, and he was the head of Great Britain, named Edward Lampard. They found out that Moroha was its target in the Akane Academy, and it was certain that other countries were also interested in Moroha. For this reason, there was a high possibility that Moroha would also become a rank S, which Shizuno did not want to happen. She knew the duty of a rank S, and she revealed that they seemed to have no more freedom. One day, the first year and second year would have a joint class. The second years were assigned for the demonstration, so another member of the strikers, named Kamii, immediately volunteered himself. But the one chosen to be his partner was Moroha. Maya and the others were upstairs with Edward, but Edward did not seem interested in watching the demonstration. When the duel started, Kamii attacked first with his blaze. He thought that he had defeated Moroha, but his attack did not work. When Moroha was the one to attack, Kami tried to beg him to stop, but Moroha did not listen to him. After their class, Moroha went to the plaza to get some fresh air. When he fell asleep, he dreamed of his other past life with the Witch of Netherworld. It turned out that Shizuno also approached him, so it seemed as if what was in his dream was real. When he noticed her, he quickly moved away and apologized. Then he asked her if she was the Witch of Netherworld, but just like before, she did not answer him directly. While Edward was returning to the hotel where they were staying, he and his assistant, named Angela, discussed about Moroha. Tadanori wanted him to nominate Moroha to become rank S, but Edward did not support it because he wanted to see Moroha's true strength. Because of this, he thought of asking Angela to try Moroha's strength. In the evening, Moroha was invited by Tadanori to have dinner at his house. It was here that Tadanori told his plan to make Moroha a rank S. He was confident that this was possible if Shizuno and Satsuki would tell that Moroha had beaten the nine-headed metaphysical alone. Even though Shizuno did not want this to happen, she still could not disobey their family's decision. So after they ate, she apologized to Moroha because of what her brother wanted to happen. While listening to her, Moroha found out how strict Shizuno's family was when it comes to their personal preferences. For this reason, Shizuno preferred to be asleep because she was happier in her dreams. While Moroha was on his way home, he noticed a motorcycle that had been following them for a while. He had a bad feeling about it, so he decided to get down from the car. He went through the square, and it was here that he told the person who had been following him to show up. But this person did not say anything and immediately attacked him. When the attacker ruined the food container which was given to Moroha, it was here that he decided to use the Sarataiga. While they exchanged attacks, he found out that it was a woman. She used one of her strongest attacks, causing him to remember one of his techniques as well. He immediately used it, and the enemy could no longer block it due to its extreme strength. Based on the condition of his opponent, the woman was forced to retreat first. Edward immediately called Tadanori because it turned out that Angela was the one who attacked Moroha. Based on what Moroha had shown, he said that he could not nominate him for rank S. One day, when Moroha returned to where he was staying, he was surprised that Maya was there. She told him that they would be roommates starting that day. He also found out that the principal was the one who made this decision. Meanwhile, Shizuno was surprised after Tadanori informed her of his plan to send her to the Great Britain headquarters where she would continue her studies. Even if she did not want it, it was their family's decision which she needed to follow. So one day, her classmates were surprised that she did not come to school. It turned out that she had decided to follow the decision of their family. While they were eating with Edward, their butler informed that the principal wanted to talk to Shizuno. But Shizuno was surprised to hear Moroha's voice because their butler just lied to Tadanori. While they were talking to each other, Moroha found out that Shizuno was going to England. Based in their conversation, he felt that Shizuno did not want to leave. So just a few minutes later, Moroha suddenly entered Shizuno's house. It was here that Moroha told Edward that he was the only one who defeated the nine-headed metaphysical. Then he took Shizuno and left with Maya and Satsuki. Tadanori immediately begged Edward to get his sister back, and as the executive of Japan headquarters, he allowed Edward to interfere in this matter. Because of this, Angela moved quickly to stop Moroha's group. Moroha immediately recognized her because of the weapon that she was holding. Edward faced Moroha while Satsuki and Shizuno faced Angela. When Moroha attacked, he was surprised that Edward just blocked it. Apart from this, he also noticed that Edward seemed to be using some tricks. In this situation, Edward told him about Kinu and Gyakudo, which was the reason why he could make his entire body invincible. Moroha thought of something that he wanted to try on his opponent, but before he could do it, Edward preceded him. For Moroha to be able to fight properly, Maya used the Field of Dreams. With this, Moroha would not have to worry about the injuries that he would receive. After hearing the good news, he used the Yin-Yang Kurikara and was able to cut Edward's sword. But his opponent had another dog tag, and it was the Jinrei Argus 10. So while Angela was exchanging attacks with her opponents, they noticed the fierce battle between Moroha and Edward. With Moroha's repeated attacks, he was able to break Edward's helmet. While he was thinking about what would happen to Shizuno if he lost to Edward, he suddenly remembered a technique in his past life. He moved away from Edward and prepared to use this technique. Angela could not believe that Moroha could also use the Step 8 dark art. This technique was called cositis, and Edward was thrilled because they already have their 7th member. After that fierce attack, their battle ended and Moroha successfully defeated Edward. That evening, Edward visited them to inform Moroha that he was formally nominating him for rank S. Almost a month later, Jean informed the members of the Strikers about their upcoming training camp. It would be held on a small island in Yamaguchi Prefecture. The day of their departure arrived, and for the first time, they saw the power of the principal, which was a transportal. Because of this, they quickly reached the island for their training camp. Jean asked them to choose a challenge for themselves, and they had to complete it on the last day of the training camp. Satsuki immediately thought of a challenge for herself, and it was to beat Momo in speed run. Momo did not actually want to accept it, but she could not do anything about it. Since Momo was known as one of the fastest strikers, she just beat Satsuki over and over again. Edward suddenly called Moroha to inform him that the 6 heads would hold a meeting to discuss his nomination to rank S. The head of the Japan branch, named Ando, was at that time preparing to go to London. He invited the principal to come with him because he wanted to use the transportal. At night, Satsuki asked help from Moroha to do a training. Because of her insistence, Moroha agreed to help her. After a few minutes while doing the training, Satsuki felt something strange in the sea. But since Moroha could not see anything, she thought that it might be just because of the strong wind. On the other hand, when the meeting of the 6 heads started, Russia and France immediately opposed the nomination of Moroha. While others were still looking for evidence that Moroha was indeed the one who defeated the 9-headed metaphysical, Ando's chest suddenly hurt. It was a signal that a metaphysical had appeared. The Strikers were currently watching it from the military shot. The creature was heading towards their location. They were even notified by the Japan headquarters to retreat and not fight with it because the enemy was huge. So they could only hope for Ando to return soon. But it turned out that the Lightning Emperor was currently preventing him from leaving. He was told that he did not need to go back because Moroha was there. They did it on purpose because this was their chance to see Moroha's true abilities. To make sure that Ando would not leave, they put him to sleep. The next morning, Moroha and his friends decided to disobey the orders of the headquarters to deal with the metaphysical. They did not expect that Jean and the others would come too because they had no intention of going home either. Jean told them what their plan was, and instructed Moroha to take a position where they expect that there would be an intense attack. As soon as the metaphysical came out, the dark mages began to attack. They managed to cut off one of its legs, but the creature released its disciples. When Jean saw an opportunity, he immediately attacked it and managed to give it a lot of damage. Moroha also started to act, and using the Inyan Kurikara, he successfully cut off one of its arms. While the dark mages were busy with the opponent's disciples, Moroha and the others worked together in fighting the metaphysical. But just a few moments later, it used a sonic attack that caused them all to weaken. Before they could recover, the metaphysical's disciples rushed again, so Satsuki fought them alone. When Moroha got to the back of their opponent, he remembered another technique from his past life. He did not waste any more time and started doing it right away. Satsuki was so tired that her body gave in, so Momo quickly approached her. The metaphysical used the sonic attack again, but this time, Maya created a barrier to protect themselves. Soon Moroha also finished the preparation for his technique, and with its great strength, the metaphysical was immediately defeated. After a while, Ando also woke up. And after witnessing the battle, the others could no longer hinder Moroha's promotion. But since Moroha was still studying, he would stay at the academy for 3 years. However, when the Lightning Empress returned to their headquarters, she immediately assigned one of his men to go to Japan to get rid of Moroha. In order to get closer to their target, the person she assigned in this mission pretended to be an exchange student. This girl did not waste any more time and immediately gave a love letter to Moroha so they could talk. She confessed her love to Moroha and invited him to go on a date. But since they just met each other, Moroha suggested that they should just be friends. They also became classmates, and she introduced herself with the name Elena. But Shizuno had a suspicion that this girl had another mission why she was in Japan. Elena did not hesitate to say that all she wanted was for her to have a relationship with Moroha. While Satsuki and Shizuno were arguing with the new girl, their other classmates were very envious on Moroha because he had a new babe. In the afternoon while they were on their way home, Elena asked Moroha again to go on a date the next day. Since Satsuki could not trust Elena, she also decided to go on the date. But the next morning, she called Moroha to tell him that she could not come because she was assigned to help Sophia in a feeding program. For this reason, only Moroha and Elena went together. While they were walking, Elena noticed the McDonald's and she wanted to eat there. So Moroha suggested that they could have lunch in the restaurant, and Elena could try what she wanted to eat. While eating, Elena also talked about how the Russia branch trained the saviors. Moroha found out that there was no school there, and their situation was similar to a military style. She added that at a young age, they were immediately engaged in actual combat. Meanwhile, Shizuno called Angela to ask her about Elena. Angela suddenly remembered the girl who attacked Edward before, and she suspected that Elena was this same person who was better known as the Man-Eater. One night, Kondrat visited Elena to remind her of Moroha's weakness. It had something to do about his family, so they would take advantage of this opportunity. She had to continue attracting Moroha until she became one of his weakness too. If she could complete the mission, she and her sibling would surely meet. The next morning, she received a letter. It turned out to be from Shizuno, who already knew about her true identity. Shizuno wanted the two of them to fight, and this was her way to make Elena stay away from Moroha. She used the freezing shade, but Elena could easily dodged it. Elena tried to retaliate, but Shizuno quickly released her Negrovitz. It was the moment when Elena got beaten, so she decided to use her demon sword, called Leprosyn. No matter what kind of attack Shizuno threw at her, she could just easily block it. Until she was able to defeat the Negrovitz. Due to Shizuno's defeat, Elena warned her not to interfere with her and Moroha anymore. Suddenly, their teacher came there, so Elena quickly left the area. The next day, Shizuno could not come to school due to the injuries she sustained. Moroha was worried about her, so after the class, he went straight to Shizuno's house. Shizuno could no longer hide from him about Elena, so she warned him to be careful. But he still did not believe that Elena was really a bad person. Moroha and Satsuki decided to visit Elena as well. While Satsuki was cooking something so Elena could eat, Moroha was treating the injuries she received from the fight. Since no one was taking care of her, others volunteered to help Elena. Until one day, Sophia came and was assigned to take care of her. Just like her, Sophia was also an exchange student from the U.S. headquarters. Sophia told Elena about her plan to join the Japan branch after she graduated, and she also suggested to her that she should do the same. But Elena could not do it because her sibling was waiting for her. Sophia understood her immediately, and after a while, Moroha also came to visit her. Then Elena invited him on a date again during the next break. On that day, Shizuno had received information about Elena's sibling. She tried to call Moroha, but she could not reach him. So she called Satsuki and found out that Moroha and Elena were together. When Moroha and Elena arrived to their dating place, it was when she began her mission to eliminate him. Shizuno quickly got there, but Sophia blocked them. She did not want the two of them to interfere with Moroha and Elena's duel. After hearing this, Satsuki decided to fight her, so that Shizuno could go straight to Moroha. While Moroha was blocking Elena's attacks, he noticed that her sword was just absorbing his prana. He tried to move away, but Elena just continued to attack him. So he used the Gyurikitsu, and its strength pushed Elena away from him. But he did not expect that even though their swords were not in contact to each other, Elena's sword could still absorb his prana. Elena continued to attack until Moroha remembered something from his previous life. So when Elena attacked him, she was surprised by what he did. While in the battle between Satsuki and Sophia, Satsuki could only avoid her opponent's attacks because those were so strong. She suddenly remembered what Moroha had taught her when they were still in the training camp. Because of this, she had the courage to block Sophia's attack. She successfully disarmed Sophia, and her opponent immediately accepted her defeat. Elena tried not to give up from the fight, but no matter what she did, it was not working against Moroha. Moroha knew that what she was doing was for her sibling, so he decided that he would save her sibling from the Lightning Emperor. But when Shizuno came, they found out that Elena really did not have a sibling because she was seen alone the night when she was abandoned. Elena did not want to believe Shizuno, but when Shizuno asked about her sibling's name, Elena could not answer. It was here that Konrad appeared and told the truth to Elena that she indeed was alone when she was found. He just used his power to make her believe that she had a sibling. Because of what Elena had heard, she suddenly weakened. It was the moment that Konrad took the opportunity to control Elena. She repeatedly attacked Moroha so that she could accomplish their mission. In Moroha's anger, he forced Saratiga to wake up. So when Konrad attacked again, that was when Moroha broke Elena's leprosy, and he immediately followed it up with an attack, so that Konrad's control over Elena's body would be removed. Fortunately, Elena was not affected much by his attack. So when Konrad returned to the Lightning Emperor, she just killed him because of his failed mission with Elena. Elena decided to go back to Russia, but Moroha stopped her. Then he called Edward to ask for a favor in his plan to go to war with the Russian branch. Edward supported him and let Angela accompany him. With Angela's help, he found out who he could ask about the Lightning Emperor's whereabouts. He tried to ask one of the Lightning Emperor's staff, named Bernard. But he said that Moroha had to defeat him first before he gave any answer to him. The two of them fought, but Moroha defeated him with just one attack using the Thunderstorm Helix. They took Bernard to an abandoned building to ask him again about the Lightning Emperor's location. But he still refused to give them any information. Moroha promised that he would not kill anyone in this war, so he thought of letting Bernard tell the Lightning Emperor on what he wanted to convey to her. He also told him that his next plan was to attack the leader of Khabarovsk. After they left, Bernard also quickly went back to his mansion. He immediately talked to the Lightning Emperor to let her know what happened to him. He also told her about Moroha's intention to go to war with the Russia branch and where he was heading at that moment. After conveying the message of Moroha, the Lightning Emperor decided to get rid of him too. Even though the Lightning Emperor already knew what Moroha was planning to do, she still had no intention of taking any action. The next morning, when Moroha went to Khabarovsk, he effortlessly defeated his opponents, including the leader. He went next to the cheetah and easily defeated the leader of the area. Even the Ulanyud branch and the Irkutsk branch failed to stop him. When they reached Krasnoyarsk, they felt that someone was following them. Angela thought there were only 7, so she was surprised when Moroha said that there were 8 who were following them. To avoid Angela from being hurt, Moroha decided to leave for a moment. When he entered the forest, the leader of Krasnoyarsk, named Kursin, appeared before him. He did not want to fight Moroha because he knew that they would only die in battle, but if they did not obey the Lightning Emperor, he knew that he would also be killed. Kursin moved away from Moroha, and the twins suddenly attacked. It turned out that they were Bernard's men who wanted to take revenge on him because the Lightning Emperor said that Moroha was the one who killed Bernard. A moment later, another one attacked him, so he quickly pushed the twins away, so they would not get hurt. After he avoided the attack, someone spread poison gas, causing him to weaken. When he saw the enemy, he used the breeze blade on him and immediately put him to sleep. Kursin appeared to him again, but Moroha just attacked him with a freeze blade, and he fell right where the other 2 enemies were located. Then he saw another enemy, so he immediately went to her. Moroha knew that she was the one who attacked using the freezing shade, and he noticed that she really had no intention of hitting him. The twins suddenly came there, so he flicked his finger on her forehead to make it look that he had defeated her, and then he also put the twins to sleep. He was surprised that Angela was also there and was facing the 8th member of the enemy. He suddenly took out a mirror, and they saw the Lightning Emperor in it. Moroha knew the danger coming, so he quickly pushed Angela, but he was hit by the attack. When the enemy left, Angela immediately brought Moroha to their rented house. In order for him to recover quickly, she used her plana. So the next morning when Moroha woke up, he was surprised to see Angela's naked body. Angela immediately got dressed, but one of Moroha's opponents the other night suddenly came to the house. She introduced herself by the name Katia, who was a half Japanese and half Russian, and the leader of the Ekaterinburg district. She found out about Moroha's plan that he had no intention of killing any opponents in his war with the Russia branch. So she also thought that Moroha might fulfill her request. It was to save her best friend, named Yuli, from the hands of the Lightning Emperor. They immediately traveled to Sverdlovsk where Yuli was located with the Lightning Emperor. After a few hours of travel, they arrived at the station. Moroha put Katia to sleep first because he did not want her to be involved in his fight. At that moment, one of the enemies whom Moroha fought the other night was giving a report to the Lightning Emperor. But since they failed in the mission given to them, the Lightning Emperor ordered her disciples to kill him. As soon as Moroha arrived near the area, the Lightning Emperor immediately felt his presence. She brought out his army, which she called the Cruel Crusaders. While Moroha was fighting them, the Lightning Emperor's bodyguards noticed how skilled Moroha was in fighting the entire army. Because of this, the Lightning Emperor decided to use real people. One of them was Yuli, and Moroha immediately thought she was one of those captive saviors being referred by Katia. But the Cruel Crusaders did not care about them, so Moroha was forced to save them too. A few moments later, Yuli used her power on Moroha. Others took this opportunity to attack him. Fortunately, Angela came there to save him. Katia was also there, and Moroha was even more surprised when Satsuki, Shizuno, and Elena arrived using the transportal. Katia approached Yuli, but her best friend did not recognize her. Since Elena already knew the reason why Yuli was acting like this, she quickly removed the thing that was controlling her. In the desire of the others to be free from the Lightning Emperor, they decided to help Moroha in his fight. They all helped each other to fight the remaining Cruel Crusaders. In the Lightning Emperor's anger, she was forced to use the Lightning Giant. Shizuno, Katia, and Moroha combined their powers using the dreadful blizzard, but this did not work against the enemy. So when it attacked, Moroha quickly told everyone to get down. The enemy prepared again for the next attack, and it was here that Moroha remembered his technique that could be used against it. He knew how powerful it was, but since the Lightning Emperor started it, he did not hesitate to use this technique. It turned out to be a forbidden curse that he called Ouroboros. When he used this, the whole place was filled with water, causing the Cruel Crusaders to disappear one by one. Then Moroha used the water to aim at the Lightning Giant, and that was when it completely disappeared. The Lightning Emperor could not believe that Moroha managed to defeat her Lightning Giant. His bodyguards were afraid of Moroha, so they quickly left. When Moroha approached the Lightning Emperor, she tried to attack him, but he easily stopped her attack. Because of this, the Lightning Emperor accepted her defeat to Moroha. They immediately informed the principal of the outcome of the battle. Then the principal also called Ando, who was currently with Edward, to inform him about it. While they were talking about the effects of the battle, Ando's chest started to hurt again. They learned that a metaphysical would show up in Russia. When Moroha's group was about to go home, Moroha received a call from Ando. For this reason, Maya was surprised that Moroha was not with the girls when they returned. Moroha knew that the Lightning Emperor could not respond after the battle, so he had to help the Russian branch with this problem. With the help of Katia and Lily, they quickly defeated the metaphysical. But Edward was wondering about Ando's condition because it was getting worse, and this caused him to lose his consciousness. After a few hours, Ando's secretary called Edward because Ando had woken up. He told Edward that what he felt was not just an ordinary metaphysical, but an ancient dragon. The very next day, it showed up, causing the people to be terrified, and they quickly ran away. In this situation, Jean immediately gathered the strikers for their plan. Their mission was to protect the entire area while they wait for the principal's transportal. Fortunately, Angela was still there, so she volunteered to help them. They decided to ambush the dragon, but as they watched it, it immediately noticed them. The ancient dragon flew away, and when it returned, it aimed at them and forced them to quickly come out of the forest. When the dragon noticed Satsuki, it followed her. It was about to attack her. Fortunately, the dark mages acted quickly. But soon they were surprised that their attack suddenly stopped. When they realized that it also had the ability to cast a spell, they quickly created anti-fire magic. On the other hand, Moroha was currently watching the attack of the ancient dragon in Japan. He suddenly remembered that this was also the ancient dragon that attacked Sarasha and the Witch of Netherworld in his past life. The dragon attacked Satsuki, so Momo quickly blocked it. When the principal noticed that Maya was in danger, she quickly rescued her. Maya intended to heal her, but she instructed her to continue the transportal that she was creating. Maya did not hesitate to follow her sister's plea to her. While she was doing this, the dragon rushed at her. Fortunately, Edward came there to protect her. She immediately continued what she was doing, and after a while, she successfully made a transportal for Moroha and the others. Shizuno was wondering because as if the dragon was just playing with them. She was sure that with its power, it could set the whole place on fire. She thought that it might be waiting for someone to come. The dragon targeted Satsuki again, but this time, it was Moroha who saved her. Moroha told everyone to leave because he would fight the dragon alone. When he attacked it with the Inyang Kurikara, it did not work on the creature. It retaliated with a sonic attack, and then released its disciples as well. They noticed that the dragon also possessed the metaphysical attacks that Moroha had fought before. That was when Shizuno realized that the dragon was actually waiting for Moroha. It suddenly teleported behind Shizuno and Satsuki, and turned them into stones. Moroha felt so angry that he rushed at the dragon and attacked it non-stop. But the others noticed that he was carving something on the back of the dragon. When he finished doing it, he suddenly felt the presence of Sarasha and the Witch of Netherworld. Then Satsuki and Shizuno were also released from their petrification. From that moment, he remembered everything, so he was able to reincorporate his personality into being Flaga and Shu. Elena could not believe that he was able to unite his two personalities in his past life. To give Moroha time for the technique that he was going to do, the strikers and the others decided to protect him first. They poured all their power to stop the dragon and its disciples. When Moroha finished his preparation, he immediately attacked the dragon with what he called Inyan Vlatora. With its great strength, they successfully defeated the ancient dragon. And Ando also woke up after this battle. A few days later, Edward decided that they had to return to England. Before they left, he warned Moroha to be careful with France's branch head, named Charles. This is the end of the last episode of World Break Aria of Curse for a Holy Swordsman Season 1. I hope you like it, and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.